Alright, I am back. I know it's been a while. I've been extremely busy, but now I'm back. And for today's video, I'm going to be explaining one of my OCs, specifically Blacky. And I'm going to start off with him first, as my start off for my explanations, because he's my favorite one. So let's get started. You may notice there's already a picture of him, like, right in front. There's already a picture of him right there. He's around 6 feet tall. And later in the video, I'll show you, like a comparison, like, to an average, like, an adult male human compared to him, like, side by side to show you, like, how tall he would actually be, like, compared to, like, a human. And he is very strong and extremely durable, too. He's not immortal. No, he's not immortal. You can still kill him, but, like, the only, few ways you can kill him is, one, just dumping hydrochloric acid on him. Yeah, that'll get the job done easily. The other way, an even more effective way. Anything related to, like, holy stuff in that, because Blacky is a demon, so it works on him very well. Specifically, holy water in that's like acid to him. That'll burn right through him. And he won't be able to regenerate from that. Yes, he can regenerate, and he regenerates pretty fast, too. So those are some ways to kill him. He's very strong, too. He can crush your head. He can overpower a human, no problem. Like, he's very strong, even without his like, spiked baseball bat. Oh, yeah, another fun fact, too. Blacky's baseball bat, the spikes where he comes from, you may notice they oddly resemble his teeth. Well, guess what? When he was making his bat, he just ripped his teeth out, and when his teeth regenerated, he would rip another one out and another one, and he would just, like, hammer them on there. Like, he would force, like, the non-sharp part into the bat, and then the sharp part to stick out, so it's, like, deadly. And he like, hammered, like, it really good in there, so it wouldn't, like, break or fall out while, like, killing someone. Yeah, Blacky is extremely strong. He can easily overpower an average human, no problem. Like, in an arm wrestling contest, he'll probably snap their arm by accident. Just by, like, just by, like, pushing down too hard, he would snap his arm. He can easily crush someone's head by just grabbing each of the sides of their head and just pushing down. He can just squish their head easily. And when he punches you, he can break so many bones in your face and probably, like, knock you out. And he can stomp on your head and it would splatter everywhere. So yes, extremely strong and extremely durable. And he's not, like, that much faster than a person. He's fast, but he's not clumsy either. He can cut corners very easily and take sharp turns. And he's very smart, too, because he can set up, like, booby traps and that in, like, the forest he lives in. I'll get to that later. For any wanderers that wander into that forest, that encounter his house, he has a whole bunch of traps set up that will capture them. And when he finds them, he'll take them, and he will eat them. Yep, I know. Just as shocked as I am when all those years ago when I created him and I decided to make him a cannibal, I was just like, no way. But there's a whole bunch of, I wouldn't say cannibal because like a demon, but like he's a human who gone like infected by like something. I'll get to that later, okay? I promise I'll get to those. Like, you might be like, what the hell is going on? What are you talking about? In fact, I will explain later, okay? And he has a laboratory below in his basement. He runs experiments actually created this mutant chipmunk thing that he has to guard around his house 24/7, because he rewired that chipmunk's brain to be completely submissive to him and listen to anything he has to say. Literally anything. And he's pretty good at fighting. Very good at fighting, too. He's not like, you know, Hoya, like Kung Fu or something. No. No, he doesn't. No, he's not that smart, but he's pretty good. Blacky is probably the most evil OC I've ever made. Ever. Probably for the rest of my life. He's the most evil and, like, sick and psychopathic out of all of them. but still smart at the same time. Like, he eats people too. Like, he will literally, like, if he can't find any food anywhere else, like, he hunts too, yeah. He hunts random animals that wander into his property. He shoots them and he eats them. Because he has tons of guns and tons of other weapons other than his bat. Oh yeah, and he also has a pet cat called Darkness. I forgot to mention that. That's really important. Bro. This is literally my first time doing an explanation video, so everything might be all over the place, but I'm trying, okay? But at least you're not reading something on a YouTube short. That's hard to read. So as I was saying, he has a cat named Darkness. And Darkness, he's a cat mutated by Blacky using a satanic book. That turned him into a demon as well, but as I showed a picture right here, you already know what he looks like, so I don't even need to describe... Okay, I don't even need to describe how he looks, because he's literally, like, in the picture right there where I'm showing. And Darkness is as tall as about the average house cat. I'm not going to go specific breeds, because I'm not an expert at breeds of cats, so I'm just going to say as big as the average, like, house cat, give or take. But a lot more deadly, can easily take down any kind of household cat. Darkness has very sharp claws, and very sharp teeth like Blacky. And when Darkness gets angry, he will reveal spikes that come out of his tail, that he can just whack them in the face, and whack them right at you, and they'll break off of his tail, and they'll be stuck in you. But he can regenerate too. He's not as durable as Blacky is. He's easier to kill than Blacky, but do not kill Darkness, because if you do, Blacky, he will get very, very mad. Oh yeah, also to mention, Blacky has a soft spot for cats. Once he gets you, there's pretty much no way to, like, change his mind. Like, even if you ask him if you do anything you want for him, he's just gonna, like, tell you to do, to, like, you know, like, yourself. That's probably what he would do. Okay, let's talk about what I was talking about, like, the forest. So Blacky, he lives in a forest called the Blood Red Forest. Not a real forest, by the way, okay? But in, like, where he... How do I explain this? So, if he was actually real, he would exist, like, in like, our world right now. Like, my other OCs... Well, my other OCs minus Entity 0.111, like, Deranged Killman and King Stickman, they all live in a separate, like, universe, like, where, like, drawings in that reside, but Blacky, he's in the real life world. But still fictional, because obviously something like that can't exist. So back to Blood Red Forest. So Blood Red Forest is a forest with pine trees that are red. All of them are red. The grass is red. The rocks are red. Minus, well, the animals are not, but any plants in that, they're all red. But Blacky lives somewhere in that forest, in a big house. He has a 2-story house. Well, like a house with upstairs and downstairs and a basement and an attic. It didn't belong to him. He didn't build it. He wandered into the forest, which I'll explain once I get to the part where I explain his backstory. I'll get to that part later. Where he finds the house and with a family living in it, and he kills them. I'll explain that later, okay? And that's where he lives. And that's where the chipmunk, like, patrols and everything. But all these random people keep on hearing legends about that place and want to explore in there. So, obviously, Blacky does not want anyone to know and attract the authorities' attention. that he's doing all that bad stuff, and that he gets arrested because he will get overwhelmed eventually by all of them, by just the sheer amount of like authorities in that. So that's why he lives in Blood Red Forest, and he tries everything he can to eliminate any people who go in it. Alright, now to his backstory. Finally, what you guys probably been waiting for the most. Or something else. I don't know. Alright, so the backstory. I don't know what year this would take place in, because I know exactly what happens in it, but I don't know what year it would take place in. So don't ask me about his age. I don't know, okay? It's freaking hard. So Blacky wasn't called Blacky, but I haven't developed his actual name. He just refers to himself as that, but I don't know. So let's just call him Blacky for now. And then Blacky's dad and Blacky's mom. So Blacky was a pretty chill kid. So Blacky, he was a pretty chill kid. He didn't get up to anything bad. He wasn't bad. He was nice. Very nice. He loved cats a lot. He had like a black cat that he would like follow him all over the place, minus like public and that, but every time he'd get home and that, the cat would be there to greet him, and he would sleep with him, and the cat would follow him literally everywhere. And when he ate dinner, he would be on his lap. The cat was like attached to him like crazy glue. And he was really good in school. Like he had perfect grades because he was extremely intelligent. So he wasn't worried at all about his grades. He was like perfect. He always did every bit of homework that he got, everything. And he loved Halloween. He absolutely adored it. Every year he would dress up as a different character from a different movie. Literally every year he would. It wouldn't be a same plain old character. He would always take the time to think of a character he would want and do it. And he'd be out almost all night until he couldn't find any houses left. And you come home with like big trash bags full of candy. And it would last him all the way till the next Halloween. But one day, this great life would come to an end on one fateful night. Where on Halloween night, Blacky was all excited to go trick-or-treating. He had his costume on and everything, but his dad wasn't feeling too good, so his dad said that he can't go because of all the crimes going on in town, and he didn't want him to be a part of it. So Blacky was very, like, sad and angry, but the cat was there to comfort him. Cat. But then his mom came, and she basically explained to him that she feels bad that he couldn't go trick-or-treating, so she's going to bring him across town to where the rich people live, and where all the best candy of all time, and where the most amount of candy are. And she said she would bring him, but she told him it would be a long ride, so bring something to eat or drink. So Blacky excitedly said yes. And he went in the car, and she drove down the highway. Probably like 45 minutes later, she's driving down the highway. Everything was good. He was all excited. His cat actually came for a drive. And he had his, like, multiple, like, bags ready. Like, his hands were full of bags, just ready to collect as much candy as possible. He thought to himself on how much candy he would get. And he was so excited just thinking on how, like, tasty the candy is that all the rich people have. And how good and high quality the chocolate is. And that, for all that, he doesn't have to pay for it. All he needs to do is walk. But then, there's this random truck driver guy that came back, had a terrible day. He started pulling out some whiskey from his cooler that he had on the passenger seat, and he started drinking away. Really, really drinking away, like probably like a whole bottle. And for that, he got drunk. And he eventually just fell asleep, and he went on the wrong lane where cars are coming like forward, and he was going downward, and he was like barely awake, and he like leaned a little bit to the left, and it leaned, and the car just moved to the left, directly towards Blacky. And then Blacky was talking to his mom, but then Blacky screamed and said, "Watch out!" But it was too late, because when she swerved, they were on a bridge, and it broke the bridge, and they fell crashing all the way down. The force of it threw her, like his mom, like right out the window. Like almost the seatbelt just pulled her back in, but her head hit the window. And then the car landed directly on a rock. It killed his mom instantly. It just squashed her head like flat. And from the back seat falling onto her head, and then the rock hitting her head and squishing it, it squashed it. But Blacky luckily came out of the car with just some minor bruises. He's never been this far out of town before. He was always in town, so he wasn't allowed going far. So he had no idea how to get back home. So he cried for so long, and unfortunately his cat died too. His cat was on the front passenger seat, and he got absolutely just squashed too. So his cat was dead, his mom was dead, and he was far away from home, and he didn't know where to go. So he sat there for days and days, and he cried while he was starving and starting to get thirsty. So then he decided to try and get help, but he didn't know where. He didn't have a phone. He didn't have any technology because he didn't bring any. And he couldn't see the highway. That's how foggy it was. So mistakenly, he went the wrong way, and unknowingly he walked towards Blood Red Forest. And many days later, he was surviving off of natural water and being sick every night because of drinking on that dirty water, and surviving off of plants and nuts. And he survived the cold nights because of his coat and that. And then he came across a book. It had the satanic symbol on it. And he picked it up. And he wondered what this was. But then he realized what it was, because obviously, if he knew Halloween, he would know what that is. But he was curious. So he opened it. And he read some stuff. And he seen some sick, disgusting, very, gruesome stuff on there. So he shut it, and unknowingly, while he was reading, he shut it and he threw it on the ground, and he just shrugged it off and said that was weird. So he kept going, but unknowingly, he was fucked, okay? Completely fucked. He couldn't do nothing about it now, because he got infected by a literal, mutation that came from the book. The texture of the book was made of that mutation. So unknowingly, he got himself mutated. And throughout the passing days, he started to grow taller. And his teeth started to fall out, and razor sharp big teeth started to come out. And he started to get a lot stronger too. And his eyes started to turn how it looks on the picture, like that you're looking at right now. And then he realized, and then before he lost his original mind, he realized it was the book that caused him to turn like that. And before he could do anything and get help, he was gone. All that good parts and memory, not the good memory, but like the good side of him was gone, and the demonic evil side was replaced. So he's pretty much part like slightly human, but mostly demon. A physical kind, not like a non-physical kind where you can't see them, but like a physical kind where you can see them and you can physically like hit them in that. Not like those non-physical ones. He was physical. And he realized how strong he was too. And from his insane intelligence, his insane intelligence kept clinging on, so he was still very, very smart. And he got very good at fighting too. But there was still one thing left. He still had the memory of his parents. Everything about it. He missed them a lot. And years passed, like, after he got, like, completely, like, infected by the demon and that. He was out of it for years and now. And years later, unknown to him, his dad died of, like, too much alcohol. He drank too much one night because of his wife dying. So he had no one left. Well, he thought his dad was alive, but he had doubts because of how much he drank. But he was very sad that he couldn't see them ever again. So he found the book again one day. And he started trying to do a whole bunch of rituals in that to try and bring them back. Try and bring them back, but it wouldn't work. He kept the book, and he continued on. And he lived in a pretty shitty, like, shack of some kind. And he wanted to upgrade some stuff. But during those years, he made a bat out of wood and his teeth. He made a bat. The signature famous bat that he always carries. He made that. But then the evilness really started to kick in, and he started to think about killing and everything about it. And then he had an idea, because a few months ago, he seen a big house with a family in it that was living there. They're scientists, they're studying that forest and what gives it that red and that. So he had an idea. A very evil idea. Before I continue forward, if this is about to get very, very gruesome, so if you don't like this stuff, probably either skip this part if you just like my OC so much and you just don't like the gruesomeness, and skip this part and until you get to the summarization part where I summarize and I show how tall he is compared to a human and his stats and that and his weaknesses. Skip to that part. So, continuing. So Blacky, he had an idea. A very good one. He knew exactly where the house was because he mapped out almost the entire forest. So he walked towards the house and he found it eventually. After a couple hours of walking, he found it. And then he noticed that the husband was, the dad was walking out. It was a family. It was It was a family of four. So there's the wife and the husband and the two kids. So the husband, the generator wasn't working, so he went out to check what the problem was. But unknowingly, Blacky was there, and he just, like, he grabbed the bat with both of his hands and lifted it up over his head and snuck up behind him and just smashed the thing right on top of his head, completely destroying his head. Like, squishing his head right against the generator and his body falling right to the ground. He was pretty shocked on how strong it was, but he was happy. He felt this rush of dopamine, like this dopamine he never felt before. He felt like he was, like, scoring a goal or something, or, like, doing some big accomplishment. This was, like, he loved it. He loved killing. But he was kind of disappointed on how easy it was. He wanted, like, a fight or something. But he was like, whatever. So then he decided to walk into the house. And the woman was cleaning some stuff. And then he just barged in through the door. He kicked the door, and the door just flew, and it broke off its hinges. It was a wooden door, by the way, but it broke off its hinges, and hit the ground really hard. And the woman looked in shock and seen him, and she screamed very loudly on how, like, terrifying he looked. And Blacky was just laughing. He was just laughing. Laughing hard, laughing away, and saying how pathetic she is, and saying that I never thought that this would happen before. And then she realized that he was covered in blood and realized the worst thing ever. And she got mad. She tried to punch him, but it did absolutely nothing. She punched with all of her might right in his chest, and it didn't even move him. He just looked impressed. He just looked impressed on how brave she was. But he was disappointed still. And he just grabbed her arm and he just threw her to the wall. Like, with just one arm, he just grabbed her arm and threw her to the wall. But then she grabbed the face and she just charged towards him and smashed it right in his face. Then he reacted. He screamed ouch, for sure, yeah. As he was pulling the shards of glass out of his eye, and while he was regenerating, and the piece of glass that got lodged in him and stuck in him just came out and falling out. And then he said, "You're gonna have to try better than that to try and do anything to me." And then Blacky just grabbed her by the neck. Blacky just grabbed her by the head and his fingers were kind of sharp though. Like, his nails were kind of sharp, so he couldn't use them as claws, but, like, if he pressed down hard enough, they'd be like little, like, they'd be the tips of a knife. And he swished down her face and he ripped it right off. Like, teared the part of her head right off. Like, most of the head was on, but some part of the head he just squeezed on it and ripped it off. And she walked a little bit and she fell to the ground. And he started just beating her lifeless body with his bat and his foot, stomping on him, smacking it with the bat. Okay, now we're gonna get to the part with what happens to the two kids. Seriously, it's about to get very, like, gory in that, on what I'm about to explain. So seriously, if you do not like gore, or like the thought of it, please don't watch this part. Okay. So the first kid comes down and hears all the rackets, and he's just, like, shocked on what he sees. And Blacky just looks at him with, like, that signature smile that he always does. And he holds up one of her eyeballs that stayed there. And then the kid screams and he runs upstairs. And he just tosses the eyeball off, and he was kneeling. Well, he was, like, kneeling kind of a little bit, and then he just got up and he walked. Casually, just walked upstairs, dripping in blood, with his bat covered in blood, and his whole body is covered in her blood after just beating her and tearing her to shreds. He ran up, and the kid had a pellet gun. So he loaded it, and while he was standing there, and, pellet guns take a while to load, so, and he had the pump one, so he put the thing in, and he was just pumping it. And Blacky was just laughing. Blacky knew that he knew that the kid was not old enough to think that, to know that would do absolutely nothing to Blacky. Literally nothing. So he just stood there with his arms crossed and his bat still holding his bat, just his arms crossed, just waiting to see what happens, because whatever, like, he wants to enjoy this. And then eventually, after he's done, and Blacky kind of mocks him a bit, just yawning and just tapping his foot on the ground and checking his watch, even though he didn't have one, while blood was still dripping off of him. Then a kid shot him, but what he never expected, he shot him right in the eyeball. Okay, Blacky was kind of annoyed after that, but he just regenerated it and it fell right off. And then he just said, well, that was pointless. And then he ran out of ammo, and he just grabbed and he just hit him with the gun. He hit him where it hurts for a man. The kid hit him where it hurts, really hurts. But Blacky didn't flinch, and he says, do you think I'm gonna need that? And he just laughs. And then Blacky says, nice try though. And you might want to check your gun though. Something's wrong with it. And he realizes that hitting him broke it. It was that completely useless that the gun broke. And then the kid just, tried to run. But he just kicked him right in the leg. He just stomped on his foot, just squishing his foot. And the kid screamed. And he fell down on the ground, screaming and crying. And he said, and Blacky just looked at him from above, smiling, with his mouth full of blood. Pathetic. I'd never seen a child that, weak before. I thought you'd be a better fight than that. What a shame. As Blacky was saying that, he had his foot on his head, slowly just squishing down. And then the other kid came from behind and had a phone cord and just lunged right on him and tried to choke him. He tried to choke him as much as he could with the cord, and actually tied it into a knot and tightened it until it was actually bleeding. But he didn't care, and he said, do you actually think I'm gonna need air? And then Blacky just grabs the kid, and then he smashes him to the ground, accidentally squishing his head. Then the other kid, he just grabs the kid by the head, and he just squishes it slowly, holding back as much as he can. And then he squishes it completely. Blood just all over the place, brain and bones all over the place. And that was it. That was Blacky's first 4 kills he ever did in his entire life. And he felt great after doing that. But he was a little disappointed now that there was nothing else left. But now he knew he would have to turn this place into his house. Now you may be wondering, where is Darkness? How the hell did he come here? Okay, well, explain that too. A while after he had the house and everything set up to his liking, he cleaned up everything, and he cut up the people he killed into food, and he put them in his fridge. Like I said, 'cause he's a cannibal. And then Blacky felt like something was missing. He really felt like something was missing a lot. And then he realized he wants a cat. But not just any ordinary cat. One that's like him. Because that soft spot for cats, that was still in him. There was some stuff that was still in him. Even though the demon took over and his good side pretty much was gone, he still had some sides to him. He had that side where he loved cats. So one day, the generator was acting up and he was trying to fix it. Then he seen a cat. And then he caught it and he put it in a cage. And then he went in his room and he went to his nightstand and he found a book. The same satanic book that he used all those years ago. That got him infected. But then he looked. He seen whoever... And then he grabbed the book and he put it in the cage and he made the cat touch it. And then the infection process began with the cat. And it worked. And then after probably a week, the cat was fully transformed from this innocent cat into this like demonic cat. So now he was like Blacky. And they loved each other a lot. Not like, we were like, like a human and pet, like, how, yeah. Now, Blacky had darkness now. He had the pet in that, and they started making a whole bunch of stuff, like he was working on making his laboratory because he was very smart, and he was making a whole bunch of weapons, and he was setting everything up. Everything was going good. And that's it. That was his backstory. Wow, that was long, I know. This is a very, very, very long video, but yeah, this took me a long time to fully make his backstory. But yeah, now we are finally at the end of this video. Well, at the very end. So before I go to the summarization and I'll show and showing stuff. If you I've covered pretty much everything about Blacky so far, but if you have any questions, just let me know down in the comments. And yeah, if you have any questions about Blacky or anything like that, just post them down in the comments and I will reply. But nothing like weird, because if it's like a weird question, no, I'm not going to reply and I'm probably going to delete the comment, but, Alright, back to it. So, right now we got the picture of what you've probably been waiting for also is the picture of Blacky and Darkness compared to an adult, an average adult human. Okay, we got that. Now we got the stats for Blacky. Well, Blacky's very strong, very fast, very durable. Well, not very fast, but like slightly faster than the average human. And very durable. And his weaknesses are hydrochloric acid or anything like holy related. Anything holy related. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I enjoyed making this video a lot. Very, very interesting. I never thought I'd ever be doing this, explaining and that, but there we go. Again, if you have any questions about Blacky or any other of my OCs, just let me know down in the comments, and I'll answer as soon as I'm checking on my channel randomly. But yeah, I'm back, and it's like summer now, so I'll have a lot more time to make videos, so yeah. well, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're new to this channel and you love these videos, consider subscribing, because don't miss a new video of mine. And this channel is mostly about my, pretty much all, well, originally my channel was just going to be about, like, drawing and that, but my channel is pretty much just focused on OCs now. That's pretty much it. Well, goodbye.